we've got, I think, 11 different provisions today we're going to go through. They all were from the October 2020 bill that, for one reason or another, need a little language change before bonds can be sold and the projects can get started. I should say there are more than this. I thought this is all we could handle this in one day. We're going to have probably 2 hearings next week. We're going to go through a number more of projects from the 2020 bill, and then the House has included in their proposal some additional language from earlier bills, I believe. So we'll try and squeeze those in too. And then next week we'll have MMB come in and walk through what's in the governor's bonding proposal. And then I'm really hoping we'll have an update by next week on the federal funds situation from the Rescue Act that was passed and signed into law on March 11th. We hope that MMB can give us a little information on that, kind of what's going to be allowed and what's not going to be allowed. We're still waiting for that, as far as I know, as of this morning anyway, for federal guidance on what are going to be the do's and don'ts with the $2.6 billion that the state is receiving from the federal government. We do know that in there, there's of the 2.6, there's 179 million that specifically is committed for capital investment, and it lists some uses. Broadband is specifically mentioned in there, as is wastewater. So we'll wait for some more guidance. I'm hoping that we'll be able to access more than just 179. So that's what we'll try to get to next week. And we'll get out a schedule as soon as we can figure out the time slots that work, depending on, I want to make it available to as many members of the committee as we can. And everybody's got competing conference committee schedules that they're on. So we'll try to accommodate as many people as we can. Just as a reminder, the governor's budget has, well, he had 240 million of GO in it, and then he added, I think, about 30 additional after his initial bonding proposal came out. 240 million of GO supported bonds are what's included in the budget forecast. So essentially we can do that without having to have leadership give us any additional money for debt service. So I have to think it's going to be a little difficult the spending committees, I'm guessing, aren't going to want to cough up a lot of cash for the bonding committee. So I'm really hoping that when we get this federal guidance, we're going to be able to make our argument for some of that federal money. I think all of you know one-time money is a little bit hard to spend in the ongoing state budget. So we'll make a strong argument as we can with leadership to see if we can get above that $240 million number that's in the budget forecast. You know, we back in December, the Senate and all of you voted for it. We passed a revisions bill to make some of the corrections from the October 2020 bill over to the House on a 67-0 vote, so those projects could hopefully get started right away in the spring. The House, for whatever decision in December, made a decision not to take anything up on that subject. Then on February 12th, and I don't know if everybody's aware of this, but the chair, vice chair, and the minority lead of both the House and the Senate had a Zoom meeting to walk through all of these items we could identify from the 2020 bill to see if we could get some agreement to move this technical corrections bill sooner in the session so projects can get started. We didn't get too far into that meeting, and it was pretty clear the House did not want to do that. For whatever reason, I can only guess that they think having some of these corrections in a larger bill will help bring along some votes. I'm not sure that's the right strategy. Matter of fact, I think they're jeopardizing some of those projects getting in the ground this year. So that's where we're at right now. That kind of broke off without even getting through the whole list because the House was calling everything a major change, and the wordage just was pretty obvious. They didn't want to move a bill just on the technical provisions. I don't know if we can get more than just the technical provisions done this year, to tell you the truth. I looked at the proposal that the House put out. It's pretty aggressive for a non-bonding year. It's $1 billion of debt supported by general fund. You know, about 500 million of appropriation bonds, which are general fund debt service, and then 500 million of GO, which are all, of course, general fund debt service. So their number above forecast is about $73 million of cash in this next biennium to support the bill that they sent to Ways and Means. And then it's north of 80, I think it's 80, about 84 million of debt service in the biennium beyond that. It's actually cash and debt service in the first biennium, and then the second biennium is about 84 million. Senator Gazelka has been pretty clear that there's not going to be a tax increase coming out of this session. My guess is he's probably going to prevail on that. So I think when the Speaker and the Majority Leader get together to actually hand out targets, I think it's going to be pretty hard for the House to hang on to $74 million of general fund in the upcoming biennium when all the spending chairs are all going to be looking for cash. So the other thing that was a little disappointing with the way the House handled it, and you know, I talked to the Speaker or the Minority Leader about 10 days ago now, maybe, and nobody has talked to him about bonding in the House at all. So they moved the bill out of committee over to Ways and Means without even having a conversation with the minority. And those of us who've been around here know that's not a very successful strategy. I mean, when you get to the floor over there, you've got to have 81 votes. And as far as I know, those haven't taken place yet. I haven't heard that they have. I'm hopeful that they at least would break out the technical provisions so that we could get these projects started. But we'll just have to see where that goes, I guess. But I think that's about all I got, just kind of in an overview of where we're at. So maybe we should get started on the bills that are on our agenda. One of them has been removed. I don't know if we sent a memo on that or not, but so if you're looking at the agenda, if you're looking at Senator Benson's proposal, it's actually a Senate Council identification on it because it was in the House's bill, but it didn't have a Senate companion over here. I don't know if it had a House file over there and the Senate jackets just got lost, or if they put it in by amendment without an actual House file. But the one that's identified as Senator Benson's, apparently the issues have been resolved around that, so there won't have to be a language change there. So there are 11 others. Let's get started with Senate File 530. Senator Johnson Mark. And let me just say, Mark, I was up in Crookston one time, and it's a trip that I never forgot. Back in 1985, I was up there for the state softball tournament. My team was playing in the state tournaments up there, and of course I live in the woods, right? It was so freaking windy out in that flat farmland that we all kind of laughed about it. When you hit a fly ball you thought was going to go to the outfield, the infield ended up catching it. It was blowing straight in from the outfield. It just was one of those memories of how farm country is different than the forested region of the state. So that's my Crookston personal recollection. But Senator Johnson, I'm guessing it's not windy here on Lake Vermilion today, but I'm guessing it's probably windy in Crookston. But
I'm looking at a flag right outside my office here, and it's sticking straight out right now. But we just call that a normal Friday. So,
Mark, mine is. I'm looking out at my flag on the end of my dock, and it's hanging absolutely right against the aluminum pole.
Well, a tale of two cities here, but no, I appreciate the opportunity.
Senator Johnson, Senate File 530. Oh, and I probably should have called this to order. The Senate Committee on Capital Investments called to order. It's April 30th, 2 p.m. And we have established a quorum. Senator Johnson.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Senator Goggin, members. We will hopefully set the pace for the day with this one today. What this is, again, a technical correction, simply adding design to the list of eligible expenses that $895,000 can be used for in this Crookston development project for an industrial site area. In the interest of time, I do have Craig Hoyseth, who is our Economic Development Director, to just give a brief overview of what this will do for that area, that design aspect will help with. So if I may, Mr. Chair, turn this over to Craig, Mr. Hoyseth.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Craig Hoyseth. I serve as the Economic Development Authority Director here in Crookston. And Mr. Chair, I probably was the one catching your fly ball in 1985. So
only if you played shortstop or second base.
But yeah, thank you for recognizing me. And just want to tell you a little bit about the project. We've got about 100 acres of undeveloped land on the south end of our industrial park. And this is our first penetration into that industrial park with a road that you've graciously appropriated $895,000 toward. We feel that that amount of money will fully fund the road that goes into this project. It's the first step into that 100 acres. It'll be running alongside the Ag Innovation Campus, allowing them to get some truck traffic and some other vehicle and pedestrian traffic in there. But we did have the word design, pre-design, that was omitted from the language, and we thought, being fully funded, that we'd try and get that design criteria built into that funding. Would sure appreciate your consideration on putting that language to include design.
Well, thanks for taking the time to join us, and if you can encourage the House member that represents Crookston. The Senate is ready to go on all these technical changes, so
I will do that. Thank you.
Thanks much for joining us. Senator Johnson, anything more?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Okay, the chair will lay over Senate File 530 for inclusion in a committee bill, hopefully late in the next couple of weeks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. Senator Goggin, are you on with us?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I am.
Senate File 608. Senator Goggin, tell us about it.
Well, Senate File 608, we already have the word design in our language, but we did miss the word engineer. We can design it, but we still need to engineer the Ohuta Beach breakwater, basically waterfront pier in the great city of Lake City, Minnesota. And we have the $1,058,000 appropriated from the bonding bill, but this will just allow us to allow the city of Lake City to do the engineering needed to put that project together. And I have Rob Keene from the city of Lake City. Rob, if you want to just give a few quick words about the project and what it means to the city of Lake City, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Goggin and Mr. Chair. This project is important to us.
Your name for the record, please.
I'm sorry, Rob Keene, City Administrator for the City of Lake City, Minnesota.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This project is very important to us as we are situated on one of the largest lakes in southeast Minnesota. And as our city is one of the primary points of access for Lake Pepin, which is also on the Mississippi River, we are a regional attraction for access to public waters. We've invested about 2.5 or are investing about 2.5 million in local waterfront properties to improve public access and public enjoyment of this lake. But one of the interesting things that we face is while it's a lake, it's also a river. And as we try and protect our investment through breakwater and then access for locals and visitors alike, the pier aspect of this breakwater is going to be subject to flooding in addition to your typical winter freeze over. So one of the things we wanted to make clear is that we have to look at not just a design on this, but we want to make sure that as we move forward, it's engineered to weather the seasonal flooding that we see in southeast Minnesota on the Mississippi River, but also those typical ice conditions that we get.
Okay, very good. Just one word. We missed a word, right? Because I wasn't part of this process, I would never blame the Senate. Let me blame the House for crafting the language for this bill. So,
thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that.
No, thank you. With Chair lays over Senate File 608 for inclusion in the committee bill.
Very good. Thank you.
Senator Wiger, are you with us? Senate File 396. Senate File 396.
Thank you, Chair Buck. Members, Senate File 396 modifies the appropriation, the $160,000 from special session, and the mayor of Willernie is here to explain the reason. Willernie, if we were on the virtual tour bus, is just several miles from the Capitol. Go down 35 north, east on 36, and it's near the shores of White Bear Lake. So, Mayor Barb Parent, who's led the city for over 20 years, will explain why it's necessary to make the modification. So if I could yield to Mayor Parent.
Mayor Parent, are you with us?
Turned on the video, forgot to turn on the mic. Thank you, committee chair and committee members and Senator Wiger. Willernie is a small community of 88 acres and about 522 plus people. Representative Fisher and Senator Wiger met with me in 2017 to talk about our funding for our maintenance building, our aging infrastructure, and our city hall. Shortly after that, Washington County informed us that they were going to redo County Road 12, which is our main street that we share with Matamidi. This provided us at that time with an opportunity to replace an aging water main, build safe sidewalks to the new library, and repair a catch basin, among other things. Because of this County Road 12 project, we had to shift our focus on how to finance $738,000 cost to Willernie's part of the project. After state and MnDOT grants, we still had over $340,000 due to be paid by our residents. At that point, we robbed Peter to pay Paul out of our general fund to make the first payment in February of 2020, and are paying off the rest for the next 5 years. Because the bonding bill was not passed prior to the time that the County Road 12 project was finished, we were not able to use that funding for that we had asked for. In the meantime, our maintenance building continued to deteriorate, and we went back to the planning table, and the money that we had been saving for years to replace it had gone towards the County Ward 12 projects. We couldn't replace it with the bonding. So we resubmitted to you the use of the $160,000 for what we had originally intended it for. I don't know if you have pictures before you of our maintenance building, but you will see that we have holes in the roof. We have no place to put our winter salt. They can't use the back door anymore. The water freezes in the winter because we're unable to basically heat it. It's a 50-plus-year-old pole barn. And so our maintenance superintendent really only has a building to store equipment, not really to function in. So what we are asking is the use of the bonding money for a major item that we originally wished for back in 2017, and that is to tear down the old maintenance building, rebuild it. We need design and engineering and re-equipping it. And we really thank you for your consideration for this change. Any questions?
Thank you, Mayor Parent. Anybody have any questions? Senator Wiger, anything further?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mayor Parent. This is a critical need for the community, and the legislature is its only hope right now to get this addressed. They have a very lean budget, so thank you very much. Again, it's just changing the words on an allocation that's been approved.
I remember when I served in the other body, Representative Harry Maris was always very proud of Willernie. Actually, I think I frequented a little bar there. I'm trying to think of the name of it on multiple occasions for some refreshments.
Most certainly, yes.
What's the name of it?
It was the Leprechaun at one time.
Okay.
It's now Free Guards.
Okay. It's right on the main drag going through town there.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Chair lays over Senate File 396 for inclusion in the committee's bill. Senator Ingebrigtsen, Fergus Falls.
Hey, Mr. Chair and members, welcome. Senate File 1105. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Very good. This is a technical, as well as all of them are, I guess. The technical amendment scratching off a project on the Fergus Falls appropriation. With me today, I have City Administrator Bremseth from the City of Fergus Falls. I believe he's here.
I am here. Thank you, Senator Ingebrigtsen, Mr. Chair, committee members. Andrew Bremseth, City of Fergus Falls, City Administrator. The bill before you, Senate File 1105, is a modification to the Fergus Falls Riverfront Corridor Improvement Project, which, as the chair mentioned, was included in the 2020 bonding bill. While we were reviewing the local grant agreement with MMB, they recommended that we seek this modification. The modification removes the amphitheater from the project. The amphitheater is being removed for two reasons. First, we could not fit the needed seating capacity in the space intended. And second, the bonding amount was reduced and we needed to trim a component of the project. And thus the amphitheater was chosen because it was already undersized. To fill the community need of an amphitheater, we did end up purchasing with local dollars a mobile performance stage that can be used in various settings and locations around town, and are comfortable with that decision. So, Mr. Chair, thank you for the hearing today and appreciate the support moving forward with this pretty simple modification.
Senator Ingebrigtsen, anything further?
No, nothing. Although sometime when you have a chance, you want to stop by this area. I walked this on foot a couple of years ago, and I tell you what, it's a hidden secret for Fergus Falls. They used to have international, I believe it was international, or at least state skiing tournaments there years and years ago, and to be able to get it to bring it back up to speed again, it's going to be a wonderful project for Fergus. So thank you. I have nothing further, Mr. Chair.
Senator Ingebrigtsen, what did we ever do with the county corrections facility there that the state closed? That was a massive property, I remember. I know the city really wanted to keep it operational, or some portion of it at some part, and maybe Mr. Bremseth can tell us. But
yeah, maybe he can. I've been part of that process for some time, Tom, and it's Mr. Chair, it's definitely a big, beautiful building, but it has been beat up, run down. But again, Mr. Bremseth can give you an idea what the current plan is. There's been many plans, and they haven't worked out.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Ingebrigtsen, Mr. Chair. The city owns the property, and we have since 2007-2008 timeframe. And thanks to this committee and to the legislature, we've had a few appropriations so we could reduce some of the size of that property. It was over 600,000 square feet. And so for a market the size of Fergus Falls, that's a significant building. And we've had a lot of struggles trying to find a developer to take that on and to fill that space. And so we've removed just over about 200,000 square feet and continue to look for redevelopment opportunities. And it's been a struggle, and we're going to continue to work hard at it, but appreciate the state's support in the past, and we'll keep trying.
Yeah, I remember working with Senator Goggin on that, trying to figure out that in the early days of trying to figure out what was going to happen to that. So, well, I'm glad to hear we haven't torn it all down. It's a magnificent building.
Yeah, just a little history myself. When I was an adolescent looking to go into law enforcement, I rode down with my father, who was the sheriff at the time, to Fergus Falls with a person that was going to the alcohol facility there. And I remember walking into that place, and it was just massive. I've never, coming from northwestern Minnesota, I'd never been anything that big. So it just sticks out in my memory as a castle. I mean, it's built like a castle, and it would be unfortunate if we'd have to destroy it totally.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bremseth. Chair lays over Senate File 1105 for inclusion in the committee bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And so, members, the next bill is a Westrom bill, and I think Senator Ingebrigtsen is going to present it for us. Senate File 1790.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate File 1790, I'm more than happy to take Senator Westrom's bill. You know, he was tied up with a family member. He did agree, however, to turn the $17 million over to Senate District 8, which I thought was quite nice. So I think that's the amendment that I will add to it.
Well, Senator Ingebrigtsen, my volume was going in and out. Did you say Senate District 3?
Well, yeah, 3 put together. Together, they turn into 8. So
2 threes. Okay.
He would love to know that. He'd like, we should really have a little fun with that. But no, seriously, Senate File 1790 is a flood hazard mitigation bill that was appropriated $17 million, and just a very minor fix on page 2 from line, I believe it's 223 and 222, changing the mitigation from the Toelle Coulee in the city of Browns Valley. Instead, they want to put in Traverse County. So I believe Senator Westrom has a testifier here that could testify real quick to this bill.
Yes, thank you, committee chair and members. My name is Amber Deschatis. I am the district administrator at the Upper Minnesota River Watershed District. Just
Welcome.
as Senator Ingebrigtsen had explained, the appropriation was originally to the city of Browns Valley. The minor word change to Traverse County will allow for us to extend our project the full portion of the coulee, which does stretch just outside of the city limits.
But it's the same project.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Chair lays over Senate File 1790 for inclusion in the committee bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members.
Number 6 on the agenda is not a bill. You see, it's a Senate Council document, Senate Council 8634, Senator Newman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. This is something that kind of snuck up on me. I wasn't even aware of it until yesterday. I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, that this morning I did sign the bill on it, and it will be dropped today. So we will have a Senate file number on it. This involves a small city in the southern end of my district called Henderson. And it's a small city that's right down in the Minnesota River Valley. And Henderson has historically had flooding in the spring of the year, and that's kind of normal. But in recent years, and I frankly think it's because of all the pattern drainage that is going on agricultural lands, the city of Henderson has had sustained ongoing flooding throughout the summer. And it is literally threatening the economic livelihood of that small town. So this is a bill for flood mitigation that was put together, and staff, that was last year, and staff has indicated to me that we have to add some corrective language or some additional language so that this project can move forward. And you will find the language that we are requesting be included is environmental analysis, pre-design, design, and engineering. So at least in my mind, this is an additional language, is in reality a technical corrective fix so that they can begin working on this project.
Senator Newman, is Henderson the city I've seen aerial photos of the news on when it floods, where it gets cut off from the world?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. When the flooding really gets bad, there's 4 roads into that small town, and when the flooding really gets bad, 3 out of 4 are cut off, and the only way out is Highway 19 to the west. Oddly enough, the critical services in terms of public safety, fire, all of that type of thing, all of those services are to the east. So it in reality is in addition to all the other problems, it really is a public safety problem for that city.
Sure.
And,
well,
the aerial views of it when the flooding is is really at its peak. It's very pronounced. It just looks like a little island sitting in the middle of the river.
Right. No, I can remember seeing it on the Twin City News, actually.
Yeah.
Well, Senator Newman, we can't move this bill because we don't have a bill number yet. So but we'll certainly get it incorporated in the committee bill when we get something put together. So.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make sure that once the bill is assigned to your committee, I'll make sure that your staff has the bill number.
Well, we'll get on top of it. Thank you, Senator Newman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
Senator Rest has Senate File 46.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My bill deals with a project in Golden Valley that, again, are technical corrections to language that was passed not only in the regular session, but also in the corrections bill that we passed, the Senate passed in December, that unanimously that the House did not take up. And I want to thank Senator Pappas and our staff, Craig Zanich, for keeping tabs on this project and for helping me with it. It does deal with a pedestrian underpass at the intersection of Highway 55 and Douglas Drive in Golden Valley, and has will greatly increase the safety, the public safety issues with regard to students and others that need to cross Highway 55, which is like 5 or 6 lanes of traffic from one side to the other. It's very straightforward. It's similar to the other projects that needed correction language with regard to design engineering, environmental analysis, permanent easements, rights of way that were suggested to us not only by the Department of Transportation, but also by MMB and Bond Council to make it able to go forward. Mr. Jeff Oliver is here from the city of Golden Valley if there are any questions, but it's pretty straightforward, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you, Senator Rest. Mr. Oliver, anything to add? It is the same project, right, Mr. Oliver?
Mr. Chair, that is correct. It's the same project. Senator Rest did a great job explaining what the project is, and I'll answer questions if you have any.
Members have anything? If not, Chair leaves over Senate File 46 for inclusion in the committee's bill.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Rest. Have a good weekend. Now we have Senator Newton's got a same situation as Senator Newman had. We don't actually have a Senate file. So we got the Senate Council document 8636. So Senator Newton, we're up in Anoka County. What are we doing up there?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And actually, I did get the jackets this morning for this bill. As a preface, I want to thank Ms. Giroux for her patience and knowledge in assisting me with this bill. Last year, the Capital Investments Committee provided a $1.5 million grant to Anoka County for the final design of a grade separation in Blaine at 109th Avenue and Trunk Highway 65. And because this grade separation is going to have a major impact on several closely located intersections on Central Avenue between 93rd and 117th, MMB, MnDOT, and the City of Blaine had determined there needs to be a technical correction to the bill to first complete an environmental analysis along the local roadway intersections. There are 6 intersections in that area, and they're going to be affected by this bridge. So that's essentially what it is. I didn't ask the city engineer to come on because I think it's straightforward. It's we have the funding to do the design of the bridge, but it's going to impact several other intersections on the highway.
Sure. Very good. Do you have anybody, Senator Newton, that wants to testify or not?
No, I don't have any testify.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't seem necessary. So, Senator Newton, we can't lay it over because we don't actually have a bill file. So we'll wait for that and get it included in the committee bill when we the Senate.
Okay, and we'll get that to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thanks for coming in. Senate File 2035, Senator Port.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. Hi, thanks for having us here to talk about this bill. This is a project that was passed in the last bonding bill. It just has some technical language modifications to make sure that the money is going to the right place and accessible by MnDOT. It changes, takes out Scott County as the recipient, so it will go directly to MnDOT, so the county doesn't have to pay it up front and then get the money back. And it also adds a portion about public utilities, that it can be used to move public utilities so that there's a sewer system that needs to be shifted over as part of it. And so that this could be used as part of that, those funds as well. I do have Lisa from the city on if folks have technical questions, but it's just a language fix to make sure the money's going to the right place.
Okay, anybody from the city or the county want to testify?
Committee members, Chair, thank you for the opportunity for us to be able to get this technical correction done. We really appreciate that.
Name for the record, please.
Lisa Fries, Scott County Transportation Services.
Very good, thank you.
Sorry about that. I think Senator Port did an excellent job of explaining what the corrections do. We've worked closely with the Office of Management and Budget to figure out these technical corrections along with MnDOT. And so this should enable the project to move smoothly. It should move into construction in 2022. So it's important to get this corrected this year.
Very good. Senator Porter, anything further?
I appreciate your consideration.
Okay, thank you, Senator Port. Chair leaves over to Senate File 2035 for inclusion in the committee bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Dietzig. We're moving on to housing.
How are you doing today?
Well, nothing's gone wrong and it's 2:30, so that's a pretty good day.
All right.
Senator Dietzig, do we, Senate File 170, correct?
Yep.
Tell us what we're trying to do there.
So good afternoon, chairs. Good to see everybody. So in 2019, we required issuers to use bond allocations from the housing pool within 180 days. Again, that was 2019. So, we didn't know COVID was coming. So when COVID hit, several projects scrambled to meet that 180-day deadline before the country shut down in March. And so we believe all those that scrambled met the deadline, except one project in my district. Some of those projects may have been further down the road in the process when everything shut down. So this bill is dealing with a historic property rehab project in my district. The complex is home to many seniors living in Social Security and other low-income individuals. It was originally built for Little Sisters of the Poor in 1895. They served seniors for over 80 years. The building was sold in the 70s or 80s and updated, but it kept low-income and moderate housing. This bill would allow Hennepin County and Common Bond to get the remainder of their application fee refunded and accredited so that they don't have a financing gap. We've all heard about the housing crisis, especially the low-income housing. And so when Common Bond bought this and needs to do some updates and upgrades, they were moving along the process. It's a complicated process because it involves low-income housing tax credit and it's historic property. And so you had HUD and you had SHPO involved. And so when everything shut down, they shut down and then that delayed the process. And so we've had several variations of the bill due to the technical and legal issues. And this language was worked on with MMB and Minnesota Housing Finance. And then with me today is Ms. Cecile Bedore from Common Bond. And she can explain the situation in a little more detail. And then Mr. Spencer Agnew is with Hennepin County, who is the issuer, to also answer any questions. So if we could go to them.
Okay, who would you like to start with first? Does it matter?
Probably Ms. Bedore.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members, and Senator Dietzig. Again, my name is Cecile Bedore. I'm the Executive Vice President of Real Estate for Common Bond Communities, nonprofit affordable housing developer, property manager, and service provider based in St. Paul, and celebrating our 50th anniversary of service this year. Just by a little bit of background, we serve over 10,000 people, including, for example, seniors, families, and vets in both Greater Min and the metro area, operating about 8,000 units in 57 cities, including, for example, Sunrise Manor in Sleepy Eye, Wilder Square in St. Paul, The Willows, which is a new property that we just opened in Shakopee, Minnesota. Again, we have been working really hard to secure the funding that we needed for this project that Senator Dietzig summarized. We purchased the property in September of 2019 and have secured significant funding that leverages private dollars with significant private capital. Those sources include federal and state historic tax credits, 4% federal low-income housing tax credits, Hennepin County funds, City of Minneapolis funds, a deferred mortgage from Minnesota Housing, brownfield grants from the Met Council at City of Minneapolis, a markup to market on the HUD Section 8 contract, and last but not least, an amortizing mortgage, first mortgage. So as you can imagine, utilization of these various financing tools requires a great deal of coordination among the various regulatory agencies, in particular, the City of Minneapolis, the State Historic Preservation Office, the National Park Service, and HUD. And all the work with those key agencies was set to begin in early March, right when COVID hit. And as you know, Common Bond together with the state are two agencies that had to figure out how to get their staff the tools they needed to work remotely. And in turn, staff had to figure out how to professionally function in a remote environment. So for example, Minneapolis Plan Review had to review over 200 pages of construction plans, which slowed down an already busy business area. And we didn't receive their approval until August. HUD halted their on-site unit inspections, which remained required to complete the markup to market on the Section 8 contract. And in addition, we needed final approval of both our Part 1 and Part 2 for the historic tax credits, first by the State Historic Office and then by the National Park Service. And they had to be done, they had to be sequential rather. And because of COVID, both entities, like several others, completely changed their processes and systems, which resulted in backlogs and delays. As Senator Dietzig mentioned, other developers with less complicated deals who were not subject to all these entities' participation were able to get to closing. We did not give up. Since that time, we now have received all of our required historic approvals as well as approvals from the City of Minneapolis, and we're set to reapply for bonds in July with the closing targeted for September. However, if we don't receive a credit for the first bond fee and have to pay it again, we'll have a nearly $300,000 gap. As you know, the bond statute from 2019 requires that all bonds be issued within 180 days of the date of allocation. When it became evident that the delays that I've described are going to make it impossible to close on the bonds for Stonehouse by the deadline, we requested immediately that the bonds be returned to MMB, which they were, and those bonds were subsequently redeployed to other projects on the waiting list so that our return bonding authority was not lost. To the best of my knowledge, Common Bond has never returned financing like tax credits or bonds as we did for Stonehouse in our 50 years of existence. We have a really well-earned reputation for submitting quality applications, closing on our wards, and completing our projects on time and on budget. For example, we had 6 projects under construction during COVID, and although one had to briefly shut down during COVID, we nevertheless completed all 6 projects on time and on budget. So in summary, I want to assure you that we are committed to preserving Stonehouse as affordable housing in perpetuity. We just don't have more room to cut costs to make up for a deficit caused by these a potential double bond fee payment. So I hope, Mr. Chair and committee members, that you'll recognize the work we've done, trust we're prepared to move forward on this important project, and if you grant our request, and hopefully not penalize Common Bond nor this project for events that unfortunately we just couldn't control. So again, we really appreciate your time and consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thanks.
Is Mr. Agnew with us?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Spencer Agnew with Hennepin County Housing Finance. I really don't have much to add. I think Ms. Bedore covered all the details well. Just wanted to indicate our willingness and support for Common Bond to hopefully get this project done, and confirm that if this action did move forward, it'd be our intent to basically receive that refunded MMB fee, then pay it right back to MMB working with Common Bond to reapply for bonding to get the project done this summer and hopefully get it under construction quickly thereafter. So thank you, Mr. Chair, and for senators for considering this.
Thank you, Senator Dietzig. Anything to close?
No, I just thank you for your consideration. The language in the bill doesn't guarantee that they will get the application. They still have to apply going forward in 2021. And we all know the housing shortage, and this is, housing preservation for a lot of low-income people in an area where in a lot of new apartments, the rents are, $1,400 to $2,000 for a one-bedroom. So this is rent stability and housing stability for a lot of people in that building. So thank you for your consideration.
Well, thank you, Senator Dietzig. Chair lays over Senate File 170 for inclusion in the committee's bill. Thank you, Senator Dietzig. Members, we've got one more. I think we're going to see this a second time. Again, we don't have a bill document. The Senate Council tracking number on it is 8637. It's a project up in St. Cloud at the corrections facility. And I believe we have somebody and I believe this is included in the governor's bill. So I think you're going to get a second look at it when we go through the governor's bill. But do we have somebody from corrections on the Zoom?
Yes, Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. My name is Safia Khan, and I am the Government Relations Director for the Minnesota Department of Corrections. I'm grateful for your time today, for allowing me to speak to the importance of this modification language. The language before you today is related to our St. Cloud facility's fire suppression system. It is purely technical in nature and simply fixes a drafting error contained in the appropriation from last year. Mistakenly, the appropriation language last year appropriated money for fire suppression systems for living units A, B, and C at our St. Cloud facility rather than units D and E. You have an aerial photo of the living units in your packets that shows the close proximity of these living units. The St. Cloud Fire Marshal has been requiring that these living units have fire suppression systems for several years now. You had funded the fire suppression systems for living units A, B, and C previously, and those projects were recently completed in December of 2020. Fire suppression system in living units D and E will essentially be the second phase of this work required by the fire marshal. And really quickly, as you might know, St. Cloud is our intake facility for men. That's where everybody first goes when they get committed to the Commissioner of Corrections. Our facility is 130 years old and has a capacity of 1,058 people. Living units D and E that we are talking about today house 416 people between the two of them. Mr. Chair and members, during the pandemic, St. Cloud has really needed all of its capacity so we can quarantine all individuals coming in for 2 weeks upon intake, conduct the required testing before they can be released into the general population. Unfortunately, at this very moment, we actually have an outbreak going on in St. Cloud, which is why our warden couldn't be here to testify before you today. So they really need this project completed so they can use all of our space very safely. As you know, fire suppression systems are a life safety issue for both the residents as well as our staff. So we are definitely eager to get to work on this. We really appreciate your consideration, and I can answer any questions that you may have.
Members have any questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Again, because we don't have a bill number, we'll just have to, we'll get this included in the committee's bill, hopefully in the next week or two here. Okay, thank you for joining us. Members, that concludes the work that we had for today. Anybody have any comments? Senator Jasinski.
Thanks, Chair Bach. So one of my questions, I guess, a little bit frustration. I've been on the bonding committee for 5 years, and it seems like we're getting more and more technical problems or fixes, and it's taking longer to get those fixed. And I don't know if it's MnDOT and as far as the road projects or MMB, but we had a big technical fix with Highway 14 a couple of years. It causes a lot of frustrations within our districts and our communities of this project gets done and all of a sudden it gets held back. So do you know, or maybe Senator Senjum can comment, and maybe it's not any one thing, but it seems we're seeing more and more of these technical glitches that hold projects up. And it's very frustrating, either if it's a wastewater treatment plant or a highway or anything we've seen today. What do we do in the future, or where do we check to make sure this isn't happening more and more? As again, I've been on here 5 years, and this is the most technical corrections we've had to do in any one year. So whoever wants to answer it, but it just seems frustrating what more and more we're seeing. And I know we do a lot of work and our staff does that, but it's just seeing an increased number of these technical corrections that cause a lot of frustrations with us as legislators in our districts.
Thank you, Senator Jasinski. Do we have anybody from MMB on that could talk about bond counsel and if they change some criteria, or if not, maybe the Senate Council can tell us if something, the circumstances have changed or why we've come to this situation? No, maybe not. Senator Pappas?
Senator Bach, this is Laura Lane from MMB.
Okay.
I believe Assistant Commissioner Hasmer was supposed to be on. It doesn't seem like she is, but we're happy to kind of investigate that question and then come back with a response to you in the committee.
Sure. I mean, if bond counsel has made some changes that the wordage has to be absolutely perfect before the bonds can be issued, I think it'd be helpful if we knew that. Some of these things come together pretty late in the game and late at night, and so if we have to be a little bit more careful about words, I guess adding a word or we'll have to. But I guess it would be helpful to know if something has changed in the way these projects are reviewed by MMB and bond counsel.
And Mr. Chair, if I might interject, this is Jennifer Hassemer, Assistant Commissioner at MMB. I was able to join your call today, so I can provide a little information to answer this question for the committee. This is actually, we see corrections just about with every bill. It is not an uncommon feature. Nothing has changed regarding bond counsel's review of the language. I would think that the large number of projects that you're seeing come before you from the 2020 bill is due in large part by the sheer size of last year's bill and the number of local projects that were included in the bill. We've always advised grantees that it's very important to get your language correct and to accurately describe all of the project components that you intend to have financed by the state, because it's very important to list all of those components in order to access the state funding. So we always work with our local units of government that come through MMB's process every 2 years, just to make sure that the language can be drafted correctly up front.
I think Senator Council wants to weigh in. Stephanie James?
Mr. Chair and members, I'll just note that I was also curious about how many there were this time. And so I looked at our bill in 2011 and looked at how many changes there were from the 2010 bill in the subsequent years. And there's about the same number as a percentage of the total number of local projects in 2011 as there are now. It's just that the bill is so much bigger, so there are so many more of them.
Okay. Thank you. Senator Pappas, you have anything to add on this? You've been around the bonding committee a long time.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I can add something, but I also wanted to make some comments as well, if I could combine.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. I think that the way we've been putting bonding bills together, often, quickly with maybe not enough staff and stakeholders present, could have contributed to that as well. But after I heard what Ms. James said, then I'm not so sure I'm right. But I do think that the more we can do things publicly with the staff from the House and the Senate MMB as part of it, and the local project people, the more we're going to have more accurate bills. Then, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to add a couple of comments. We had a conversation earlier about your wanting to emphasize kind of our state buildings, our HEAPR, and our asset preservation. So I just wanted to mention that to the whole committee, because I think that could be a really important thing to do. I've always been interested in doing that during the odd year, so that we don't, it's hard when there's a lot of competition with local projects. Those are kind of the fun, exciting things to do, but the asset preservation of what, kind of preserving what we already have and taking care of what we already have is very important. So those buildings don't disintegrate to a point where they have to be replaced instead of just repaired. So that's something I wanted to mention. Basically, I wanted to thank Senator Bach for his willingness to move the bonding bill this year, because I do think that continually funding to meet our needs and keeping our construction industry employed so that they're working and staying in Minnesota, I think is a real important thing. We did see during the recession over 10 years ago that a lot of people left the trades because there wasn't any work for them. And then when we tried to ramp up because we needed to meet all these construction needs, we ran into a shortage of workers. So it really goes to show how these things are very interconnected. I wanted to mention something about COVID related. I don't know if the federal money is going to have any requirements around that, but I think that we need to be aware of what are some things that we could use that money on that's COVID related. And I do think emergency housing could be one of those needs. I'm especially concerned that when we do lift the moratorium, which we will have to do, that we will be pushing more people into homelessness, and that will be throughout the state. And to be not only to be continuing to build affordable housing with housing infrastructure bonds, of course, that's the long-term goal and promoting home ownership, but we may just need emergency shelters. And then finally, Mr. Chairman, I do hope that the Senate committee will look very carefully at the equity projects that are included. The money's included in the governor's bill, and the House has included a number of equity cash projects. And that, of course, involves us getting cash. With all the one-time money we have, you'd think that that should be a priority for us to spend cash on some of these bonding projects. And it's become very difficult for nonprofits to find a government owner that's willing to take on the kind of responsibility of doing that and all the technical issues with the bond market and MMB and the lease arrangements with the nonprofits. It's become a lot more difficult to do. And so to be able to use some cash to assist these nonprofits, especially these equity projects that have been doing such an excellent job and serving their community, I think is very important. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Pappas, I think those are good points. I had a lobbyist that represents one of the first-class cities call me last week, and we talked about all the one-time money coming, especially to our first-class cities. Places like Duluth and Minneapolis and St. Paul are really getting large sums of federal money. And I've been told, at least, I haven't seen it in writing, there's not a lot of strings attached to that money going to the cities and counties. So I do think there's going to be a tremendous opportunity for cities to be able to get some things done for nonprofits if those city councils choose to prioritize that. They're large sums of money. I believe in, I took a look at Duluth because that's part of Duluth is in my district, and city of Duluth is getting like $60 million. It's not that big a city. And then the county on top of it's getting another $54 million. So, they're large amounts of money. And I believe Minneapolis's number was like 281 million. And I don't know what the levy is in St. Paul, but somebody told me that St. Paul got more money than their entire city levy. 171 million, I believe. So I do hope that the cities take a look at some of these nonprofits and housing issues with this one-time influx of federal money. But it's going to be very hard for the state to take on additional debt. These appropriation bonds, because they still have general fund supported debt. So, money's we got money around, but it's almost all one-time money. So I'm hoping.
Well, the state's also getting a big, large amount of money.
Right, and I'm going to do as good a job as I can once we see what the guidance is, working with the speaker and the majority leader to score as much of that as I can for this committee, because we certainly can do some work, and then without having to incur any general fund obligation. So I know that, as you know, Senator Pappas, all the spending committees that fund the state budget aren't real crazy about giving a lot of cash to the bonding committee. That's been a historical problem. But on your comment about the process, in my earlier years, I remember we actually had conference committees over bonding bills. The House would pass a bill, the Senate would pass a bill, we'd go to conference. The bill always got a little bigger than either body had, but we had real committees. And then there was a real public forum to you know, to identify where there might be some wordsmithing issues. And it has totally deteriorated over the years, and bonding conference committees are almost unheard of. And I imagine we're not going to have one this year either. The Senate can't do it. The House has to send something. So until the House wants to restore that process of having conference committees, it's just not going to happen in the bonding area. But I sure I've done everything I can to support the conference committee process, and I know you do. I wish our House colleagues would take that on for us, so that we could have a real process. And
I spent many wonderful hours as higher ed chair serving on the bonding conference committee, because usually a third of the bill was higher ed.
Sure.
So I always got to do that. And you're right, we had hours and hours of open meetings, and then sometimes to finally close the deal, you might have to go into a private meeting, but most of our work was done in public, which is a good thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what the House has got their bill sitting in Ways and Means, they need to talk to the minority, I think, if they're to get it out of there and figure out what they can pass. So we'll try and entertain some conversations with them and expedite this as much as we can. And I think the Department of Treasury has till May 11th to give us the federal guidance on the federal money. Hopefully they won't wait that long. If they do wait that long, this is going to get a little difficult. But to your point, I think I said it last time we met, to the extent we could put a bill together that's largely around asset preservation, HEPRA, state agency things like at PFA, Department of Admin's got some stuff. DNR certainly got a lot of buildings that need asset work. And then we'll have more room for members stuff next year for what I hope will be a larger bill. So, any committee members, anything else? Senator Wiger.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. You mentioned there's going to be a couple of meetings in the near future. Tentative date, time?
Well, we're still trying to, because the conference committee schedules are just kind of put together. We're trying to figure out how our members fit into all the different conference committees that they're on. But my hope is to have 2 next week, and we'll try steer away from conference committees unless we got conference committees with, you know, none of our members on it. But I'd like to have a chance for everybody to participate if we can. But we're going to, one way or another, we're going to have a couple next week. And if we can't include everybody, then that's just kind of, we're stuck with that schedule. And this committee has just had that problem for a long time, especially this year when we didn't get assigned a room in a regular time, because you remember Senator Gazelka decided to make the committees smaller and more of them. And when it turned out we didn't have enough rooms at that point. And I think the intent was, well, you know, we try to meet in person, put somebody in every other chair at a committee table. Well, it never really developed that way. But we just ran out of rooms in committee slots because there were so many committees. So we're kind of stuck where we are. But we'll definitely plan on twice next week, and we'll do the best we can to accommodate calendars as they all mesh together. So, anybody, anything else? If not, thank you, members. Have a great weekend. This committee is adjourned.